Welcome back. Today I'm here with another poem from the ICSE syllabus, that is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and it is written by Maya Angelou. So unlike the other poems that we discussed and the other poems in your syllabus, uh, here it is little important to know about the author to have a better understanding of the poem. Okay, so Maya Angelou, she is an African American author. She is a very powerful feminist writer, and she is also a very well-known civil rights activist. Um, and this poem, we could call it as an autobiographical poem, as it tells us about her life till the age of 17. And one another thing that you should know is that her autobiography, it also has the same title, that is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And in that autobiography also, she tells us that she has often felt her words were not heard, or she was not recognized because of her skin color. Okay, her words were not heard because she was an African American. She had this feeling. Okay, and even though the African Americans, they were free in Angelou's time, many restrictions were there in their society, and so many of them felt that they were still slaves. Okay, if we consider this in a broad sense, we could say that the caged bird, that word caged bird, it stands for all the African Americans and their struggle for freedom. Okay, so so this is all about the intro. Now we'll move into the poem. We'll see the poem line by line. So let us see the first stanza now. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. So in this first stanza, she describes a bird in its natural habitat. Okay, so she tells us how a free bird leaves on the back of the wind, how it flies in the sky, how it floats downstream till the end of the current, and also tells us how the way the bird dips his wings in the orange sun rays. So by describing the orange sun rays, the author is telling how beautiful the natural world is. She is appreciating the nature. And she also tells us how the free bird enjoys in that natural habitat. And towards the end of that stanza, she says, that free bird has the right to claim the sky. Okay, so this is all about the first stanza. Let us read the second stanza now. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. See the difference now. Like this stanza is in stark contrast with the first one. Okay, so in the last stanza we saw a free bird enjoying its freedom, or a free bird enjoying the sky as if it belonged to him. And now in this stanza we see a bird, a bird locked in the cage, or she describes a bird that stalks down his narrow cage. And she also says that that caged bird can seldom see through his bars of rage. So it is difficult to see. It is difficult for that bird to see beyond the bars of the cage. And and the sad thing is that the bird's wings are clipped and his feet are tied. That shows the bird is enslaved. Okay, that bird is enslaved, and so now the only thing that the bird can do is to open its mouth or open its throat to sing. And so that is the condition of the caged bird. Let us see the third stanza now. The caged bird sings with fearful trill of things unknown, but long for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. Okay, that is, the caged bird doesn't know what freedom is like. Okay, the caged bird doesn't know about the freedom that the free bird enjoys. So now, but still, it understands that freedom is a basic necessity. So the caged bird is singing of things unknown but long for still. So that is, that unknown thing is freedom, and it is longing for that freedom even without experiencing it. Like it's longing for that freedom still, and it is singing with a fearful trill. That trill means what? Um, that tone of nervousness. The bird is scared of something, the bird is nervous, but still it sings of freedom because it knows that freedom is a basic necessity. And the only thing that the bird in the cage can do is to raise its voice, or only or a slave or an enslaved person, what he can do is just raise his voice against the injustice. Okay, and this tune is heard on distant hill, that is, it is heard on faraway places. That tune of freedom, a tune of freedom is heard on faraway places. So in these in the second stanza and the first stanza, we can connect it very clearly with the author. See, for the author, the only way to express herself was to write, was to speak, was to dance and sing, and she did that to get her freedom, or to express her freedom. And yeah, so she raised her voice, or the people who were enslaved, they raised her voice, they struggled. So that what that incident, or those incidents, we can trace out from these two stanzas. Okay, and now let us move on to the next stanza. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. So this is again about the free bird. So the free bird has that freedom, uh, or it is so free that it has time to think about the breeze, another breeze, then about the trade winds and the sighing trees and the fat worms that he could eat. And he went to such an extent of naming the sky his own. So in this stanza, the poet portrays that abundance, or that ease of life that the free bird experiences. And it is, yeah, that abundance in the life of that free bird is well portrayed through the line, or well portrayed through giving the picture of that fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn. So that free bird had easy access to the fat worms, or it had that easy access to food to satiate his hunger. Let us discuss the fifth stanza now. Listen. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. So again, see, in the last stanza we saw, or we talked about the free bird. Now in this stanza we have the caged bird, and the caged bird is standing on the grave of dreams, or that cage itself can be considered as a grave of his dreams. Okay, and that cries of that bird is being described as that of someone having a nightmare. Okay, and it also tells us that extent of damage, that line, his shadow shouts and nightmare screams, gives us an idea about that extent of damage caused to the psyche of that bird by the act of enslavement. Okay, and then, yeah, again the poet says his wings are clipped and his feet are tied, and now the only thing that the bird can do is he opens his throat to sing. So the bird is still hopeful and the bird is still singing for freedom. Nothing else can be done. And the poet believes that that song, or that song of the bird for freedom, has a power. Hmm? And now, okay, now to the last stanza. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So, this stanza is a refrain of the third stanza, right? Yeah, yeah, it is a refrain of the third stanza. And by repeating this stanza, what we can understand is that the speaker is very much faithful, or the speaker has that faith on the song of that bird, of that caged bird. And this faith is a result of the understanding of the fact that the bird is made for freedom. The caged bird is made for freedom. She is supposed to have it. And sorry, he's here, the caged bird is mentioned as he, so I'm saying he's supposed to have it, and it is his right. Huh? So even though the song of the caged bird, it is known just as a distant voice, or it is not well recognized, but still it is heard by many people. And still the bird is hopeful, even though it is scared of so many things and it doesn't have that experience of freedom. Still it longs for freedom and it cries out for freedom, it sings for freedom. So okay, so this itself was the condition of the African Americans. They sang, they danced, they raised their voice, everything was done, but their voice was just heard as a distant voice. Okay, and but they never stopped. Okay, they never stopped crying out for freedom and equality, because they knew that they were made for freedom. Okay, and yeah, and they would not relent until they were given their freedom, or their rights as human beings to enjoy the freedom they were created to enjoy. So this is all about the poem. Read it thoroughly, and if you have some doubts, put your comments in the comment box, and we'll have those discussions in the other session, or in the next session. Yeah, hope you all understood, and that's all for today. Take care. Bye.